courage, vision, resilience. It's more than just a journey. It's a universe of endless possibility, where a single idea can change a man's life, creating new worlds from the ground up. I am Ricky. I'm your guide through the epic stories of Web3 pioneers. Join me and enjoy the podcast. The Tales of Web3.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tales of Web3 Season 2, Episode 5. This week, we are honored to invite my friend Intern, the head of growth at Monad, to join us. How are you, Kevin, or Intern?
I'm doing well, Ricky. Pumped to be on here with you. And yeah, appreciate the invite.
Really excited. I feel like a lot of the folks in the Web3 world already know about your origin stories, right? I think you majored in physics back in college, joined CMS Holding for almost 3 years, did a lot of the cool stuff back then, and joined Monad, right? Bootstrap the community, a lot of the hype stuff that you're building. So I wanted to just directly get into the hardcore stuff, right? What is your superpower as an intern?
It's a hard question to answer.
Give me a few. What is some skills or some power that you think only you have, right? It's such a unique skill that make you really stand out or be good at what you're doing.
So it might not be, well, let me try this. So I've always been able to kind of picture things in my head very clearly. And from what I can tell, much clearer than kind of most people do when they have a mental image of something. And I know you mentioned I studied physics. I was a physics major in college. Really the reason that I think I like physics, I was always kind of math-minded, science-minded. But with physics, if you can picture how something works or should work in your head, you can kind of see the answer. And so with physics, I never really had to read the textbook or take notes. After a teacher explained it and I could picture it in my head, I could just kind of jump right to the answer, right? Because I could run the model in my mind's eye is what my
That's kind of cool.
Call it.
That's almost like magic, man.
Well, there's not a lot of overlap between that and crypto, except potentially on the meme side. So when I'm hearing people discuss topics or concepts, specifically in crypto, but in general, I'm kind of building a picture of it in my brain. And when you do that, you start trying to find things that are similar to it. So for example, Monad, we are building out our testnet right now. And when people talk about building the testnet, they're like, okay, we need to build the base layer, make sure everything works well. And then we will onboard RPCs, indexers, other infrastructure that's needed for applications to then come on, and then you can open it up to users. And so when they're doing that, I'm trying to find a model. And so I've kind of landed on an amusement park, right? We're building an amusement park. So we're laying the foundation, making sure everything is set. And then you bring in the people that will build the rides and the concessions and the bathrooms. And then you can open it up to the public so that people can come in and ride them. So for whatever reason, just picturing in my head, it constantly makes me draw comparisons and analogies. I swear to God, I'm bringing this back to crypto.
This is cool. I like it.
And so I think early on with, one of the things I just did early on was take notes on a lot of things because I was trying to learn a lot about crypto. So I'd take notes anyways and post them. And then also make memes. And memes would really, I would hear a concept or I would picture what people were talking about. And I could kind of draw a comparison in my head. And a meme is just a comparison to like a format people are used to what people are currently talking about. It's like an analogy kind of. And so maybe that, right? Like I think for some people just kind of think in memes. At this point, I've done it too many times. So it's almost it's almost like a mental illness instead of a superpower. There's probably a more accurate description. Yeah, I think just being able to picture things in my head has kind of been like, it's driven a lot of maybe passions like physics or crypto or creating memes. And maybe like one of the kind of unifying threads of it. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It's kind of a long-winded answer.
No. Like the first time we met, remember at Token, I think you talked a little bit about that, right? I asked how you're able to make all these memes that get people hyped. I remember there's a video, right? Like I think 2022 that really make you like everybody knows about that video, right? Like all the memes that what the big stuff that happened. And I asked you the question like how you're able to make that happen. Like you said, like you're able to picture things, right? You mind like what kind of stuff that people actually like. So this is kind of cool, man. Like this is cool. Since you mentioned about like the memes and you've been in the space for a couple of cycles, like how do you think memes have evolved? And then like from your side of view, right? What is a meme the entire landscape right now? Where do you think it's gonna go next?
Yeah. So there are memes, which is kind of it's a form of content, right? It can be for entertainment or education. Elon Musk uses them for propaganda a lot when he's trying to get people on his side. He'll make a joke about it via memes. Then there's meme coins, which I think are actually pretty different. A lot of people think that they're similar. I don't think they're that similar. But yeah, so when I was working at CMS in 2020, maybe like how everything started, I was still in school, but graduating soon. I was 23 at the time. And CMS was a hedge fund. There were maybe 12 people. They're all like super smart finance backgrounds, age 30 to 35. And I was the Zoomer on the team. And Dan was like, memes are so important in crypto, like way ahead of the curve on this. He's like, memes are so important. We should hire a full-time meme guy. Like it would be fun. It also adds a lot to CMS's brand. Like we should do it.
That's visionary.
Like, all right, well, I'm the Zoomer on the team. Like if anything, I can just try my hand at this. I'd never made a meme or a video picture, anything in my life. And so I just kind of started trying from there. And so I think memes were like, there were not that many. But it seemed like something that when people would create memes, it would, take off and people would really like it. And so I started creating them then. Got some traction on Twitter, mostly from meme videos and notes. And then, have just been kind of creating them ever since. They went from like this just kind of general fun thing that was internet native to now it's like a staple of the industry.
Yes.
Like one of the most famous things in crypto is Dogecoin, which they're like, this is just a meme. Elon pushing them makes them kind of more well known. I think it's just like a internet native form of communication, which is ever evolving, right? Like there are people that are way better at memes than I am. Like Sherlock Hoddles is on our team. I think he's probably the best person I've ever met. But yeah, I think it's at its purest form. It's drawing comparisons. They're like analogies, but it's just an internet native form of communicating an idea or a concept or a joke to kind of Twitter or Instagram or just the broader internet.
I like it. It's also the best way to bring people together, right? I feel like people all share different values inside their mind. Memes is just the easiest way to bring, like, even to start a cult, right? Let's not say start a community. So this is kind of cool. Like as someone who been on Twitter, crypto Twitter for a long time, what's your I wouldn't say like strategy, but like what's your thought about like how someone, if they are just getting started on Twitter, right? What are some of the best things they can do? Obviously, I think being a reply guy is matters. Constantly DMing people makes sense, right? But I just wanted to really hear from you, like the lessons that you've learned on your engagement with crypto Twitter, and then what are some of the things that worked for you, and just wanted to get this out, please.
Yeah. I think, is this from the point of view of someone that like wants to grow an account on crypto Twitter?
Yes.
Okay. So I would say that you want to identify a few of like your own strengths. And then you want to combine them in a way that creates good content for your account. And it's much easier said than done, right? It takes like, it's a process more than kind of an end destination. But like, so I'll use myself for an example, right? I have this weird mind's eye thing in terms of physics, and I can just picture things in my head. That helps me create memes that are maybe
resonate with people,
marginally more accurate than like someone else. And then I also spend, the vast majority of every single day thinking about crypto, making sure I'm in tune with anything that's happening in the space, following the news. And so I'm informed on this side, and then I can create content via memes or thought pieces on the other side. If you combine those two things, then you're actually doing something that's uniquely valuable. So like, I'm not the best person at making memes or content. I'm not the best person that's the most well-informed on all things crypto. But in the middle of that Venn diagram,
you're the best.
That's where I can kind of create a vertical and that people will follow the account for. And so say, you can use a few random examples. Say,
if I'm a BD guy,
say you're a BD guy, give me like one or two other traits for this BD guy.
The BD guy is really outgoing. He likes to random DM people, just reply.
Okay.
And what else?
Does he have an area of crypto that he's most focused on?
Social or gaming.
Social and game. All right. So social and gaming, BD guy who's outgoing. I would probably, and he's starting from scratch and trying to grow an account.
Yes. Dude, I'm literally describing myself. Oh my God.
Okay, perfect. I would start by turning on notifications for any large accounts in areas where he has knowledge. So in this case, gaming and social. So I would turn on like the fantasy top founders account, maybe the top games account, anyone that does gaming breakdowns. Turn on notifications so that when they put a post out, you see it first. You can come up with a reply that either adds value or is a funny joke, and just hammer replies to those people all day long. They will start to know you. They will recognize your name and will start to engage. I would probably put out thought pieces around these things, right? At the beauty of starting with a smaller account is that if you do something that doesn't work, no one will ever see it.
100%.
Right? It's like, I talk to my team about this all the time. They're like, well, I don't know if this meme's that good. I'm like, well, just fire it, because a lot of the time you're wrong, right? You might not think it's good.
Like even 90% is wrong, right? Just give it a shot.
Just give it a shot, because like if you create something that is good, that gets spread. So like, say you create something, it gets 500,000 impressions because it's good. Say you create something that isn't good and it gets 1,000 impressions. 500 times more people saw the good thing. So they only know your account for the good thing.
Yes.
So like the more things that you're putting out and experimenting with, the higher % chance you have something that is good and kind of reverberates across the internet. People only see the things that work. So a lot of the time people get self-conscious and they don't want to put something out that's bad. I think the opposite is true. Not putting something out that could have been good is much riskier
100%.
than putting something out that could be bad. So I would focus on, I would like make the bio, right? Doing breakdowns of social and gaming and crypto, and just try to like pad out the area of content that you feel good with. Like say you create good memes, In this case, you're very outgoing, you're a very personable person. People like talking to you. A podcast is a great outlet for that. Twitter Spaces also probably a really good one. So I think it's really just like, you don't need to be good at everything. It actually doesn't matter if you're really bad at 99% of things. As long as you have two things that you can combine, you're going to end up in a really good spot. Or maybe you have three things, and that's even better. So like, you just build out that niche and then go from there, right? There's people who just, yeah.
I love this like thinking frame, you know, like because everyone they got their own things they're good at. So probably like top 10% or top 20%, but that doesn't matter, right? If you times all that together, you will be the top, let's say 1% or 2% on
Right.
your own unique playground.
Yeah, Scott Adams talks about this very often with he created the Dilbert comic. He's like, I'm not the best comic artist, but like maybe I'm top 10%. I don't know the most about workplace dynamics, but maybe I'm top 10%. I'm not the funniest guy, but maybe I'm top 10%. But if I
combine
write and draw comics that are humorous about the workplace, I'm the best. And he created this niche and became extremely successful and famous for it. But he's not the best at any of them, but he's the best at that middle part. So figuring out what that middle part is and then just becoming the best at it, definitely the route I would suggest.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course, dude. Getting comments like this is beautiful makes it easy. So thank you, Ricky.
Thank you. The next question that I'm really, really curious about is, I find someone like you who are like constantly pushing yourself out of the comfort zone, like just put yourself out there, trying everything you can, all these kind of different growth hacks, strategies. Like you have probably one of the highest growth curves, right? As a young individual who is early in their 20s. So what is the biggest lesson that you learned in 2024? This is probably a fun question, but I wanted to get this out.
In 2024?
Yes. I intentionally added that, right? So it can be like the most... Yeah.
Instead of soul is a great chain.
Yes.
So probably until 2024, a lot of the internet, just like understanding internet trends and growth sides, I was basically just applying to my own account or talking to people and helping on that side. 2024, or this started in 2023, but really 2024 is where it got big. I was responsible now for growing this brand, right? And the brand is Monad. My title here is head of growth. So it's like, it's not that descriptive on purpose because that could mean a bunch of different things.
That's what I thought.
And so probably the main thing I learned was like, there's a lot of overlap between growing a brand on the internet. Like all the fundamentals stay the same as growing like a personal account and a brand. But there are some differences. And the differences, like now I have a team that I work with. Learning to work with a team, leverage each other's skill sets. Maybe to tie this back to what we were just talking about. When you have a team, like, you know what we were just talking about? Okay, you might be top 10% at these three things.
Yes.
When you have a team, you basically just now have more things that maybe you're top 5% at. Like Sherlock Hoddles on the team, I think he's top 1% meme guy. Like,
meme lord.
That's out there. Yeah, maybe the best. He's fantastic at that. Then I have, Tunes. He's one of the most creative people I've ever met in my life. And then I have my brother, who is extremely, he has extremely good judgment on what good ideas are. And so now, instead of combining these traits in yourself, you get to combine them in a
12.
team, and you create something that is infinitely better, right? So Tunes comes up with 10 ideas. 6 of them are absolutely horrible. 3 of them are okay, and one of them is fantastic. But we don't know which are which. My brother Jack, who has fantastic judgment, goes through the ideas. He's like, this one is a banger. And then you have Sherlock Hoddles, who can come in, like, find the perfect caption, find the perfect meme that encapsulates this idea and put it out. And now you have like an engine, right? Like a machine that is just going to produce fantastic ideas, find the best one, and put in the best format. So the combination of teams is like if you play to each other's strengths, you can beat any individual. I would say that's probably the top.
That's cool. That's
like
really
how to work
cool.
with a team and build something bigger than any person could do instead of just doing it yourself is probably my biggest 2024 learning.
That's awesome. Like standing in the audience point of view, they're probably curious, like, how did you build such a killer team? Like how?
Well, I've known Tunes for a long time. Obviously, I've also known my brother for a pretty long time. And so for a while, it was kind of just us cooking. Sherlock Coddles, I had like had my eyes on his account since he was much smaller. I'm like, this guy is just nailing references. Like he has a gift. So I've always wanted to work with him. He used to work at Scribe, which is like an agency that helps other teams with their marketing. And so I always talk to him, and eventually I'm like,
come
what
on.
do you think about? Yeah, I was like, come on, dude, we can do something special here. This will be fun. So I think it's like, it's not just trying to hire a bunch of people or force people in. I think like if you hand pick a team for specific strengths and skill sets, then you can kind of build that Venn diagram that we were just talking about. But yeah, just, you know, constantly.
And that will take time.
People that I have respect for. It does. Yeah, for sure. It takes a lot of time. You can't rush it.
I feel like a lot of the mistakes that teams find is normally when there's new headcounts that opens, right? They try to fill that headcount as soon as possible. And that's normally the easiest, but the wrong way, right? If you spend more time, like even 90% more of time on sourcing the good real talent who you wanted to work with, the outcome is probably a bit better.
Right. Well, it's like fast food versus like a slow cook. Right, like the slow cook's always going to turn out better. It takes time. You can't rush it. It's not going to be ready in 10 minutes. But once it is ready and everything's working well together, then you end up with a much better kind of long-term outcome.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I was actually listening to your podcast with Mia yesterday, and I find a very interesting part where you shared, you know, like because you and Keone and like your head of community, you guys bootstrapped the Monet community in early days, right? And then you shared that there's different strategies that, you know, of growing a community at different stages, right? Let's say a community with only 500 people or 5,000 people. But I wanted to get your brain around like what are some of the really successful strategies or stuff that you guys built in the early stages of Monet that's been proving extremely successful? And what are some of the things that you never get a chance to try it, but you think probably will work great as well?
Those are good questions, Ricky.
Man, like I want it to be fun, you know. I need to prepare.
So on the things that worked well early, I think there's a domino effect. And so I'll kind of explain the mindset and then the brainstorming and then putting it into action. So the mindset that I'd had for a while, right? I was doing venture investing, like you said, for almost 3 years. I'd worked with a lot of different companies. The bar for marketing and community building was just ridiculously low. And in my opinion, I thought like, these are very important things, very valuable things for projects. And it seems like no one is that good at them. Like there's a bunch of easy ways to do it much better that I'm surprised other people aren't doing. And so trying to take hold of them and build it ourselves should be like, that's a valid opportunity. Some of them, like at this point, there were not like main accounts or brand accounts. We're not like personality posting at all. It wasn't a thing that existed. Now it's very commonplace. But it was just like people were just posting advertisements on their account.
So I'll learn from you, man.
Well, I felt very strongly that like, look, it's much better to have attention and have people like the brand. That's much more valuable than trying to teach 10 people on the internet what you're building. And so early on, a lot of the mindset was, look, we're not going to try to shove Monad's tech stack down the internet's throat. We're going to just create memes that kind of hit in crypto Twitter, like show that we have the right kind of mindset that resonates with crypto. Yeah, just like a crypto native vibe, and just put that out through our community and marketing. Also, something that was very commonplace, still very commonplace, which I think is definitely the wrong path, is a lot of like questing and bot farming.
100%.
It's just rampant in crypto, right? People like they'll use platforms to get a bunch of fake engagement, and then they end up with a tweet that got 70,000 retweets and 70,000 likes from no real people, but no community, because the entire thing is just bots like sending GM in on an automated timer every 5 hours
and getting points.
Right. And so from our side, we're like, we won't do anything like that. We will focus on only real people. Any people that come in that are acting like bots, we will rip out of the community. And so we're like, it'll take longer to build a good community, but it'll be much stronger and much more long lasting if we do it this way. And so we wanted to put the right aura onto crypto Twitter, put the right vibe, the right content, build a smaller community that was stronger early on, and just allow that to snowball. There are also a few tricks, I think, that worked well that we kind of pioneered, and now you see other projects looking to do as well. Exclusive groups are very strong. There was a point like no one really knew what Monad was in April 2023. But we created this Telegram chat that Tunes was in, John W. Rich Kid, and myself, and we locked it at 999 members. And like there was no value.
That's cool.
To be in there, cool. But it was like, look, it's a locked chat. It's for the Monad community VIPs, and we would kill. At that point, we would kill off 100 people in the chat every single week. And so initially, there were a lot of people not doing anything.
Okay, if they're not contributing, you just kick them off.
So they're not, they weren't contributing, or they were doing low quality contributions. And we needed to make room for new members, because all of a sudden we got 2,000 DMs saying, hey, I really want to be in the locked Telegram. We're like, okay, wait, we got to kick people out and then we can add you. So if you take this just ridiculous group of people that's about 1,000, and then you cut out 100 of the worst people, and then you add 100 new people, and you do that for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Highly curated.
Eventually you end up with this highly curated like army of community that was super motivated. They did not want to get purged. We made it like this sacrificial execution every week.
You guys still doing that right now? Are you guys still killing 100 people every week?
No. So we had to everyone just became way too overpowered.
Yeah.
So we have like 3 different groups that are larger. But we still do, it's called Thursday Purge Day.
Damn, that's so cool, Mike.
We do like a true execution and kick out low performers. So just doubling down on this concept of like build a really strong kernel, like a really strong group of people that care about what you're doing. They have relationships with each other. There's great banter. There's good memes going back and forth. Like it's just a very fun place to be. But just do it over time by picking off the highest quality people and giving them a platform. Right, a lot of the original people in the group that are still there have gained like thousands of followers on Twitter. They're like the loudest voices. They create the best content.
There's a lot of them, yes.
Yeah, so just I think that was one thing that was also really successful. So yeah, there's a bunch. Those are some examples of like the bootstrapping phase type of things. But
that's really cool. For those of the people who are building communities, this is gold. Forgot to tune in. I'm really curious, like, how do you guys measure contributions? It's only like being active on like Twitter, trying to like share more about like Monad, what's their thought are, like artworks, mascot. Like, are there like other ways you guys are measuring contributions? So
this is one that I know no one else will be able to do, so I'm comfortable sharing it because it's so high effort. But it is all 100% hand done by the team.
What?
Like, I think we've put 5 times as much effort into community than like anyone else in all of crypto. We spend so much time doing it. But the reason is like the second you make something automated, or it's like if someone didn't send 10 messages in, then we're kicking them out, then it's gameable and you ruin the North Star. Like the second a measurement becomes a goal, it's no longer a good measurement. So message count, if no one knows and that's what you're doing, is like okay, but if people are aware that that is what they're being measured by, then they will optimize for that, and then it's not a good measurement anymore because it's not a proxy for the goal.
Okay.
So essentially, it's just basically like us looking at every single contribution and being like, "This is dope. This guy crushed. Like, let's post this off main. This is an awesome contribution." So highlighting the really high quality contributions over time. And then people will see the ones that we promote. They're like, oh, this is
the kind of work.
XYZ reason.
Yes.
I can do this, which is also cool. It's a completely different thing. And so, yeah, it's basically just like if, the moderators, or now we have chat captains, like people that are not on the Monad team whatsoever, they just exist as leaders in other countries around the world. And they kind of run their own community based on the way that kind of the culture that we've put out. So every contribution is basically measured subjectively by someone who's like looking if this fits the vibe, and if it, if it's high effort, then it's something that we cherish.
This is a crazy workload. I can imagine, but this is dope, man. This is really dope.
It takes a long time. It's a lot of hours of just sifting through tweets and being like, this one's good, this one's terrible, this one's okay. Like, yeah.
I got you. I feel like a lot of the times, I wanted to get your brain around this as well, but I feel like a lot of the times the product, the actual is the one, right? And the community is like the leverage, like all these zeros, like next to the one. I feel like once your testnet, your mainnet is on, like you will even see more power of the Monad community and how that can empower the actual product. And then I think one, you go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's 100% right. Like we're already seeing it be super helpful for, like, say you're a founder and you want to build an application. Like you probably know that application pretty well, but you don't know how to build an internet community or like how to market this thing in a way that crypto Twitter will like. And so being able to like tap into the Monad community has been very helpful for founders, right? They're like, I don't have to worry about building community because there's 3 people in the Monad community that really like our product. They run the community side for us. Everyone from the Monad community is pumped about this app because it's built on Monad. Like you get to start from step 10,000 instead of step 0 and trying to start from scratch.
This is cool. This is really cool. The next question that I'm going to ask is one of the most interesting ones. And it's the question that I ask all my guests to share, right? Give me one most interesting stories along your 2 years at Monad. It can be anything about you taking a high risks, anything that is twisted, random, even fundraising. It can be also something silly, but fun. But give me one interesting story, the most interesting one of Intern at his journey at Monad.
It's a really good question.
This is also the essence of the Tales of Web3. We've got to find out like the stories the epic ones that haven't been told to the world.
All right, I have one. So early on, this is like super, beginning of 2023 era. Initially, the mascot for Monad was a purple Pepe. And I created this because I was like, Pepe is very ubiquitous and well known across crypto Twitter. They will relate to it. There's a lot of meme formats that already exist with Pepe as the main character. But you can't just take Pepe and that's your
yeah.
So you need to make it Monad. So we took Pepe and would basically just make him purple. And it was really effective because there's all these people that are like, oh, I can just use this thing that already exists and just make it purple and now it's Monad. Like it's very easy, but it's also very identifiable.
Yes.
Because it's purple, right? Everyone understands. And so that was really good for bootstrapping early on because it gave the community something to rally behind. It gave a mascot. But there was a lot of kind of internal back and forth on like, hey, like I didn't know this at the time, but I guess Pepe is like this polarizing political thing.
Wait, what?
But I had no idea.
I have no idea.
I guess it's like super far right wing people used it to like do offensive things on the internet during like.
Oh, okay. I think I
past
heard about the
elections.
single too. Yes.
So I knew nothing about it. I'm like, I just know Pepe through crypto Twitter. He's a funny character. But they're like, look, if we're ever going to work with like really big kind of traditional tech companies, if Pepe's our mascot, like that's not good because they think about it this way. And for a long time, I was pretty steadfast. Like, look, maybe, but this works. Like this really works for us. It really helps the growth. Like we cannot just use some other random thing.
It's going to break the brand.
It hits hard. It breaks the brand. And so for a long time, basically they were like, we need to switch it. And I was just like, we cannot switch it. It works. Like this is the super power. Like we cannot move away from this. I was like, eventually we will, but like we need to get to the point where we're large enough with enough momentum where we can. So the leadership like trust me with that. Let us run Purple Pepe. Eventually, the community created Molendak.
The one that we're using right now
is the main character, and so the community just like created it one day. And so I guess the lore is that Landak means hedgehog in Indonesian. And so they just did Mo Landak and created this like purple hedgehog. And we're like, this thing hits, right? The community all rallied behind it. And so we were like, I think this is the moment. So we started promoting Molendak. We would put it in our tweets and basically slowly swapped out Purple Pepe.
A smooth transition.
Molendak. And so now we had this awesome mascot that was community made, which is even better, right? Because now at this point, it's like 100%. We're not even controlling the culture and brand. Like the community owns this and they build it into whatever they want. Now there's like hundreds of mon animals that people have created. You have like Moyaki, who's a fish, Chog, which is like basically an AI version of Molendak.
That's cool. That's
Mooch,
cool.
That's like an annoying fly that the French nads made. You have Spider Mon, which is there to like kill Mooch.
Like they have their backstory as well. Oh my God.
Dude, there's deep lore to like so many of these mon animals. But like that was only created one because we got to the point by using Purple Pepe, but then two knowing it was important to switch it. But yeah, it was like internally. I probably over the course of 6 months had like 20 conversations being like, listen, we can't stop using this thing. Like it works. Like, it's worse than people thinking that your mascot is bad that don't understand crypto Twitter. Like no one thinking anything about you because they never heard of you because you don't have any attention or community.
Yeah.
Like it's much better to get there and then mold it. So there's
this is good
from the early days for how the mascot actually was created for Monad.
I like that. And also there's no more political stuff, right? I really hate those.
There we go.
But this is a good story that have been untold. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Awesome. The other question that I'm really, really excited to ask you is please share one hot take, right? Controversial hot takes that you held for a long time or you held lately, doesn't matter, but the take should be hotter the better.
Put me in the hot seat here, right? Hot take. I'm trying to think of one that's like Monad related or just personal.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. So I think that scalability will, and I don't know if this is that hot of a take. It was a hot take 2 years ago when I joined Monad. Solana was $10. It was basically dead. People are like, Ethereum's the only thing that exists.
Yeah.
I think that the product market fit for crypto will improve dramatically as real decentralized scale is introduced to crypto. And I'll explain a little bit, right? If you think about when the internet had on average like 50 kilobytes of bandwidth, 50 kilobytes per second of bandwidth, you really had like email and web pages that existed. And that was kind of the internet, right? If you ask someone, so this is like 2004, if you ask someone, can you picture what the internet looks like when internet speed 1,000x's, right, to 50 megabytes per second? They only know email and web pages. They'd probably be like, all right, well, web pages will load much faster, email will send faster, and that's kind of what will exist. In 2014, internet was about 50 megabytes per second on average. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, like basically all the things, FaceTime, the things that we think about when we think about using the internet, the things that dominate like 95% of internet traffic were impossible because there was not enough internet bandwidth to support them. And so I think that a similar thing will happen in crypto, where as you can scale up more throughput and smaller fees per second on a blockchain, like the things that will dominate what people use crypto for 10 years from now do not exist and have not been thought of right now. You'll have stable coins for payments, right? Bitcoin will exist, it will be a store of value, but
there's more.
The way that 95% of people interact with crypto are on things that have not even been thought of yet because there is not enough throughput to support them. And so if you can increase the bandwidth of a chain, then you kind of open up this design space where someone can build the YouTube of crypto, or, the Instagram of crypto, or whatever that may be. Maybe I'll hit on two other hot takes which aren't super crypto specific.
Please.
I think,
but just for the previous point, right? I think I absolutely loved it, and that's the reason why Monad you guys are building, right? To empower.
That's why I joined.
Yeah.
I'm like, people are like, oh, like, it's very lucky that Monad became large and you were there a while ago. I'm like, well, I've just had this thesis for crypto. Like, this is why I believed in Solana so much very early on, and like Monad is the only other thing I see that's trying to push that ball forward. I was like, I joined because of that, not the reverse.
That's beautiful.
Two other hot takes. I think AR and VR are hands down the most slept on things in tech right now. I think they actually dominate the way we use the internet. Like, I'll say within 5 years, I'll put like a closer time around that. And then I also think that AI is, like, people are like, oh, it's this really big important thing. I think it's like 1,000,000% underrated to what it will be. I think that also completely, like, that dominates like not only the way we use the internet, but like literally the entire world's economy,
how we live.
Like, like the entire, like, there will be this massive paradigm shift in how the ways that we live and what our experiences are as people, and that will drive that. So
purely,
those are kind of the three things I'm constantly thinking about: is crypto, AI, and AR VR.
That's awesome. Just purely from the AI point of view, would you say you're more optimistic or pessimistic about how we're going down? Because a lot of people are scared as fuck, right? Because they're thinking about like an entire new AI model is going to control the world and stuff like that. But
that's pretty accurate. I think that there are a lot. If you follow the logic of it, like, there's a lot of really negative things that come from it, or like negative from our point of view right now.
Yes.
I think they just will happen. So like, got to kind of come to terms with that.
It's pessimistic then.
Yeah, I'm probably more pessimistic than the average person. But the other thing is like historically, which is not always indicative of what happens in the future, but generally when new tech comes out, people are pretty pessimistic, and then it actually ends up being pretty good. And so I think from like a fully zoomed out point of view on how tech shapes the world in general, I'm extremely optimistic. But I do kind of have to balance that with like the very real
I see.
Yes,
Yes.
someone could use AI right now, or like the next generation of AI immediately to do bad things. So I'm on both sides of it.
I like that. There's a theory that I saw before saying like whenever there's like a new technology like comes out, right? No matter it's the internet, like people started to say, okay, this is gonna ruin us, right? We're all gonna be dead or something like that. Very pessimistic point of view. But as long as the entire human civilization, as long as we make 51% of the right decisions, right, we're gonna be fine. Right, the world is not gonna be end. Like you get what I'm saying, right? As long as we make slightly more than half of the right decisions, right? Like let's say the non-evil way to use the technology, we're gonna be well.
I think that's right. I think maybe one thing that's a little bit different with AI is that, say it was very powerful and very widely distributed. It's much easier to break things and like, think about like military, for example. It's much easier to play offense and like blow things up than it is to like defend against something that's very powerful.
Yes.
And so even if most people are using it for good, like if one person decided to default and go and do negative things, it would be very hard to stop them, probably.
Yes, I agree.
This is like
this is fun.
I've been battling back and forth with this idea for like 8 years now. I'm still not convinced either way, but it will certainly be interesting. I'm 100% certain that it will completely change the way that the world works. What it looks like is kind of harder to determine.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Same for Bitcoin?
It's probably good for Bitcoin, whatever happens. So
I actually agree. Bitcoin $1 million, 5 years. Yeah. Let's go.
I like that.
I like that too. And right now we're at our last question of this podcast, which is, please share a little bit more about what's on Monad's roadmap. What are some exciting things that you guys are launching, and what are some of the best ways people can contribute to the community?
Yeah. We will be launching testnet soon, which is pretty exciting. It's been a lot, like I've been waiting 2 years at this point for this thing to go live. So I'm excited for everyone else to get to try it out. I've used it. I've launched a few meme coins on there so far. Pretty snappy.
That's nice.
So yeah, I think on that side, we will, over the next few months here, probably a lot of people will come and test out Monad, which is really cool. Obviously testnet is a testing ground where we will continue to improve until the point of mainnet. And then, hopefully all of the engineering effort that's gone into Monad for the last almost 3 years will actually have a very positive impact and contribute a lot of value to society, and hopefully create that new design space that unlocks really good apps that people 10 years from now will think of as, oh, this is what crypto is. We'll kind of forget about this old period where there's a lot of experimentation and fighting on Twitter.
Let's go. Testnet is not here yet, but I'm really excited for mainnet, man. Let's fucking go.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, that's wrapped our episode, the Tales of Web3 Season 2, Episode 5 with Intern from Monad.
Thank you for having me.